You're wrong.
What's up, YouTube fam? This is Richard Ogle, and we're at ECLIPSE Studios. I'm here with my lovely wife.
Christina Ogle. Hey.
And this is the first time we've been online. And we're about to give you a little background on where we came from, what we're up to, and where we're going for the future. Just a quick blurb on where we've come from and how it all started. The centre was all come from a day where my son's bike was stolen by a few boys that were living behind us, and we ended up finding out who they were. And when I went over there, I had two choices, and it was either to what I thought about doing was giving the father a good dong with my hands, and the other choice that was floating around in my heart that God had put on my heart was that I could take these boys in and show them acceptance and love and provide them with a place to train and be a part of something positive. So what I had to decide in that moment was which one I was going to choose, the little devil on this shoulder or the angel on this shoulder. And I decided to go with the voice of God that was calling to my heart to show love and mercy and peace, the same sort of love and mercy he shows us through his son Jesus Christ. So I got out of the car and I looked at the man, and he had his sons there, and there was probably about 6 or 7 other teenage boys, and he said, "Smashed him, bro, smashed him." And I was looking at him like, you don't know how close you came from getting a hiding. So instead of doing that, I said to the boys, well, I've just built a gym and you've got two choices. I'm going to ring the cops, or you're going to come and train in my gym for free. Now, that was the first choice that sort of led us on this path to working with the at-risk youth in Tokoroa, and I've never regretted any of it. There's been some trials, some tribulations that have strained our marriage and strained our family's bond, but yeah, the struggle is real. Strained our marriage and strained our family's bond.
Sorry. Yeah, you're all right. Sorry.
And that's why we're here. We're here to work out the bugs, and we're here to have a few laughs at the same time. Yeah, so
got carried away. Sorry, guys.
Like I said, like I said, we're still working on this. It's our first time, but we're having a good time. So yeah, it's been an 8-year journey, and
long journey.
Yeah. And my wife and I are here to just sort of throw down on our first YouTube stream. A little bit nerve-wracking, but not really. Yeah, so I guess what we're going to do first is just sort of, I'm going to hit Christina with a question.
Although it was supposed to be the other way around, but yep.
Off the top of the dome, which is going to be, what was the hardest part of what we do today for you?
What has been the hardest part so far?
What do you think's been the hardest challenge or the biggest obstacle in everything that we do over the last 8 years? What's one of the biggest thing that's sort of the hardest thing for you to deal with on this journey?
I think there's been quite a number of things that have been quite hard. One is balancing the family. Am I loud enough? One's balancing the family. Another is admitting when I'm wrong and apologizing to people for it. It's been hard because we've learned as we've been teaching others, so it's been really hard. That's another thing. And probably the other was when we first started, there was no money, and here we are giving free trainings to people off our own backs. So yeah, those have been some challenges.
Well, what's the biggest challenge that's sat in your heart when you first think about where we've come from to where we are? What's something that really sort of moved you?
Do you want me to cry?
Yes, please.
No. I think the biggest challenge for me would be seeing the oppression of our youth, seeing their struggles, the struggles that the whānau are going through, and feeling helpless.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling helpless to really make a huge impacting change.
When you say oppression, can you broaden that out a bit?
Oh, mate, we're going deep, are we?
Yeah, but like you got to remember, there's a lot of young people here going, "What's oppression?"
The struggles of normal everyday life for some people, their normal everyday life, because they don't know any other way.
Mm-hmm. One of the stories that sticks out with me is with oppression was when my wife, she had trouble with taking these boys on and sort of giving them,
I had a hard heart. I wanted you to give them a hiding.
Well, yeah, and
or send them to the police station.
Yeah, and one day I couldn't make it to the training, and she had to take the training. She had them running, and one of the boys was limping.
Injured. He
so
was
she
injured.
said, "Oh, jump in the car," and
He
she wouldn't. And carry on.
Oh, what if he watches this? I feel bad. He was running along. He had an injury, and he was stubborn because he was determined that if the other boys were going to finish their run, he was going to finish his run. And I suppose true for him is that he'd never been given the opportunity to be able to have some sort of compassion for his suffering. And then so once he finally got up to the gym, up the stairs when we used to be, I patted him on the shoulder and I told him how good he was, and I said that I'd need to take him to the doctors or the physio, and he got quite teary-eyed. He started crying because someone gave a damn, I suppose. Someone cared enough to want to do something for him. And that really hit my heart.
I could feel those emotions. And I guess it was probably a few weeks later, and the woman that was constantly looking and judging the street youth
I wasn't judging, I was giving them the evils.
Yeah, and sort of looking down at them like I was too, because a lot of them were up to no good. We were parked in the car one day, and a few of them walked past the car, past the shops, and one of them was carrying a knife, and instead of her judging him, she looked at him and the group he was with and said, "They look like our boys." So there was a big shift in mindset, and that's what happens when you open your heart up to look through
the facades that they
walk
around with.
Anger, through your own anger, through your own hate. You can often come up with a different perspective on what you're actually looking at. So fast forward.
And here we are.
So what we do these days is, you'll be better off sort of describing our programs and what we get up to these days. So take it away.
You're the hands-on man.
All right, so I'm the hands-on man when it comes to the work readiness program.
Yeah.
My hands are getting a bit softer now that Willie's sort of taken a lot of the reins, and so we have a concrete business for doing driveways and other projects around the houses and stuff like that. So we incorporated a work readiness program quite a few years ago, and then
that started because we were fundraising to take the youth to Thailand. So we were going to take the youth to Thailand, and we needed money, and we had just finished up with one of our businesses, remember?
Yep.
So for the youth to be able to go, they had to we made them work for it. We made them work quite hard for it, and one of the tools that we utilised was your skills in concreting, and so that helped to fundraise. We did heaps of fundraisers, but that was one of the things. And then from that, what we saw is that there was a need for youth to learn how to work, because some of them just didn't know how to. So heaps of the friends of the kids that were coming got on board and helped. And so that actually developed into a work readiness program that way. And then you see a need for youth who have never worked a day in their life, and then they show up to this. Some of them can't even get out of bed. So that's where this program came along. But then we also, we opened the youth centre. Was that before or after? Can you remember?
So we already had
the programs first. So we looked at what skills and what we did and what we enjoyed and offered. So we had the gym, which you utilise, so kickboxing, the work readiness through the concrete. We like fishing, so we decided that we'd do a hunting and gathering program. So we gather up kaimwana, we gather watercress. What else? We mentor the youth, so we've done a lot of youth justice, advocating for youth and wherever they need it, appointments, helping them with their appointments and stuff. You should take your glasses off. What else is there?
You have to forgive me, without my glasses I can't see, but
you could see a little bit.
Wisdom comes when you've been married for 15 years.
14. And what else is there? So we do all those things, but I'm the behind the scenes girl, and we do our life skills, we do our cooking and group, and now we have our residents upstairs.
I suppose if you try and put it in a nutshell, it's just
can you put it in a nutshell?
Yeah, you can. I would say that nutshell looks like an extended family. It's just building an environment, whether it's inside, outdoors, in a doctor's surgery, in a court of law, at a police station. It's having the support systems that they might not have at home. So when it comes to youth justice, the biggest part of that is trying to separate yourself and your feelings from what the young person's going through. Unfortunately, not every young person has a mother or father that will be there to support them,
or even knows how to be there to support them.
And it's been tricky for us. We've made mistakes along the way,
a lot,
with previous youth, but it's all sort of helped us grow, and that's the biggest, probably the biggest, what should we call it? The biggest curve? Probably the biggest learning curve is knowing that we are going to make mistakes, and we are going to learn from those mistakes. And probably the biggest thing that we've learned is that the best thing we can do is always be there after they've made mistakes, because sometimes they're just trialing you to see if you're going to be there after they've made mistakes, and sometimes mistakes just happen to be part of who they are. So it's the same with all of us. We all make mistakes. We're all learning and growing, and these young ones have got a lot of obstacles to overcome before they can sort of catch up to a normal upbringing young person who's growing.
Yeah. So what else? Have you got some other questions, or you want me to ask you a question?
Yeah, hit me.
I don't know. Does that really explain who we are, what we do? I hope it does.
I think the greatest strength that we have is that we have learnt to never give up and realise that we made mistakes as well.
I think for me, the greatest thing I've learnt is I can't do their changing for them. As much as I want to, as much as I want to strip away all the bad past that they've had and then mould them into these amazing human beings, pillar of society, which I'm not even either, so I don't know if we could do that, but accepting my flaws, their flaws, and working in with it. That's probably one of my biggest things.
I gotta put my glasses back on. That
Why, we really
hurts.
can't see that. Oh,
Yeah. So it would have been good to probably have a young person here to go.
shall I see if
They're
they've
lying.
lying? I'll see if anyone's got you any questions. I did tell them to. Oh, no one's hit you with any questions. Is there any on the live stream?
No, I turned that off.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't got any comments. I should really turn it on, eh?
Oh,
But I'll know for next time. Well, it's actually quite good. You know,
Yeah.
you get the feedback, people question you. But,
Probably one of the first questions you're gonna say is, why has he got sunglasses on?
because he is blind as a bat, like for real,
And my wife has my
and it's
clear
irritating.
glasses. All right.
Yeah.
This isn't a marriage counselling show.
Oh, why not? Oh, okay, I've got a question. What's the most rewarding thing about what you do?
Connecting with others, not just young people, but we get to meet a whole lot of different people, and I don't care if they're suit wearing or toe gem smelling people.
Toe gem smelling.
I love meeting people, and I love meeting different people with different walks of life. Just because they drive a Mercedes or a Lamborghini, sometimes
Or
they're boring.
YY Express.
Yeah, or if they just got the dirtiest toes on the planet. Sometimes the guys with the dirtiest toes on the planet have the better personality, so it doesn't bother me who I'm talking to as long as it's worth talking to you.
Worth? What do you mean by worth talking to you? You mean like you can have a conversation? Or?
Yeah. Some of the dirtiest toes in the world have the funniest personalities, and that's what I find fulfilling about speaking to someone anyway. So
Yeah. What do you think has been one of your hardest challenges to date?
Ooh, one of my hardest challenges, finding a balance between my wife and my work. So a quick story is about a little thing I put together, and it was a rating system that I had put together, and I think it was about 4 or 5 things. I can't remember them all, but one of them was love, one of them was intimacy, one of them was connectivity, and something like that, and one of them was significance.
Yeah, you remembered the word.
Yeah, so I was getting 8s, 9s, and 10s for all the other ones, and then it was like a 6 for significance. But she was like, "Oh, no, that's all right," and I was like, "What? You feel like a 6 in the significance pool? That's not all right." So what sort of clicked in my head was, this is your wife, this is your significant other, the one that God has blessed you with and supposed to make you whole with, and she's a 6, and it sort of dawned on me. She had been asking for years if we could go to China and
Travel.
just travel, and I was like, no, we can't afford it. But when we first started this youth centre, I was stealing the eggs out of the pantry to go make mashed egg sandwiches so that the young people would have something to eat while we were doing work here and there and fundraising. So it was always like, even the mortgage, we had no money.
No, that was when you were working upstairs. We were a bit pohara then, and you were stealing the eggs then because
Yes.
they didn't have any food, so you were feeding them.
Yeah, so it came down.
And my kids were one of my sons was walking around with holes in his shoes. There you are, with your big generous heart feeding them. But anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, so it sort of dawned on me that I had all this energy and all this time and money to put into what we had built for young people. And every time my wife asked if we could go traveling, it was, we don't have enough money. And that was a sort of like a wake up moment where it was like, the business, our concrete business wasn't doing that great.
It was doing all right.
It was just doing all right, just barely
we just
doing all right.
started out, really.
And then she hit me with, she's going to finish work, which sort of freaked me out as well. And then, then when she
Finish
said,
work, why?
because she wanted to help do what we were doing in the centre, and I bet you it didn't help the fact that I was ringing her at the ply mill and telling her when she'd ask, where are you going or what are you doing, and I was like, oh, we're off to the hot pools in Tokoroa, and I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, data entry. And I was like, oh well, sucks to be you, catch you later.
Oh yay.
So she come home with the news that, well, she was going to finish her job, and I thought, oh, yep, that's scary, but okay. And then I hit her with the test of what I did and how well I read on the scale of 1 to 10, and on the significance scale it was a 6. So it was that moment where I said, right, we're going to China. I don't care how much it costs. Oh, well, I did care, but I sort of like said in my head, we're going to China, because that's where she always wanted to go. And at the same time, it was like a switch saying you have to succeed, because the money wasn't going to fall out of the sky. And it was like a bit of an epiphany, and maybe an encouragement for those who are out there. If you're looking for that next level of success, sometimes it's going to take walking through that fear of, I don't want to let go of this, or I don't want to invest this much time into something. If you're going to try and succeed at something, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to do the extra work. And that was a very pinnacle part of our success in our business and our center. It was just where we had to motivate ourselves to that next level mindset of financial gain, because yeah, I mean, all those years of taking from the family, it sort of came to a time where you sort of have to go, you can't just put it all into others. Your family is just as important. So that's a pretty big key to why our business is doing well, and why we're doing well in the center. And it all came down to that mindset of success. You have to push, and you're going to have to work.
What came from me rating you a 6 in significance.
Yeah. And for anyone who's out there and community minded, and sometimes in the church, we tend to sort of go to God, and then boom, we're especially the males, we're like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And we sort of leave our families to the wayside and sort of go, look at me, I'm going to do this for God, I'm going to do that for God.
Well, that's why we ended up, I think, developing it the way that we have, is because we were doing all these things for God, but we'd forgotten our children. So one of the questions was, how did we learn to spread our time with the youth compared to our kids? And I think if I was to answer that, I would say that we made sure that we built the program around being a whānau, so that our kids could continuously be involved, even to the point where our moko is now involved. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's a good answer. I think even and another answer is we're still working on...
Oh, always working on a balance, I think. So another question must be for you, Mr. Ogle. What was the hardest day so far that you've gone through with the youth? I know mine. What's yours?
The hardest day
so far that you've gone through with the youth.
What do you mean, hardest day?
I don't know. Whatever you take it to mean.
Oh, having to see one in a coffin.
Yeah, that was a hard day. Actually, yeah, that's a really hard day. Oh.
Or even seeing one on the street that I was half in my van and half out of my van, and I looked over and I saw a young person who I was sort of prompted to go and to sort of talk to, and sort of see if he was all right and needed some support. And I was just busy. I wasn't really busy.
But you were busy.
Oh yeah, and I was half out, and I was like, oh, which way should I go? And I thought, I'll catch him tomorrow. I'll catch him the next day. So I drove off, and then I got a text I think it was that night, from another youth worker, and he said, bro, did you hear about this certain person? And I was like, nah, what happened? And he goes, oh, he just committed suicide. And I was like, broken. And it took me a little while.
You were pretty broken.
Took me a little while to get over that. Sort of like I was blaming myself. I know it's not my fault, but it doesn't matter when you're in that situation. It's sort of hard to sort of separate your emotions from your mind. You know, your logical mind. Anyway, you just sort of feel like you could have done something more. But it was all fuel to the fire. And here we are now. That fuel keeps getting fired in different ways.
But that also, I think, you then had to figure out how to balance, because I think you took on your guilt from that situation and you carried it through, and it gave you the enthusiasm that you needed to bring this to where we are now. But that, in a sense, caused you to sort of leave your kids behind a little bit. And I think that's why, but now balance is balance, and
we're working on it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm always reminding you. Hey.
Yep, definitely. I think it's all part of the journey, and the biggest part of this journey is trying to figure out, well, not really figure out, it's just continuing to grow the young people that we have to make them the leaders that they're born to be. I mean, just because you're brought up with bad support systems and lack of foundational parenting skills, I don't think, in my opinion, the young person doesn't lose that potential, is the word. Even though you're out there, if you're out there and you're listening and you think that you're no good, or you've been brought up to believe that, I got brought up to believe the same things. And any young person that knows me will be able to, realize that if I could be brought up that way and I thought I was nothing, then there's an opportunity for you to just dig deep. You got to dig deep and bring that potential out. And it's going to take some good decisions. If you're making a lot of bad ones, then you're going to have to look inside yourself and start listening to what I'm telling you to do and
start doing it.
Yeah, but we're there. We're always there. It's just a matter of growth. And sometimes when you're young, I made bad decisions, and I don't sort of look at you and go,
we all made bad decisions. We still make bad decisions sometimes.
Just
I think
keep your head up.
A lot more better,
keep your head up.
Yeah, definitely. So last question then is, what would you say to youth that are shy or scared to come to the ECLIPSE project? Do you remember when you used to drive around in the van and just be like, hey bro, what are you up to? Want to jump in?
Yeah, I remember that. Now I go and grab that fella. So that's probably the answer to your question. It's like, now I'm trying to utilize the young people that I have, the ones that have stayed, the ones that are like seeing that there is a lot of need for something like what we do, and then just saying, go ask them if they want to come, or encourage them to come. So that's probably the best way I deal with that, is instead of doing all the running around myself, because I can't do it forever. So I'm trying to train the ones that are here and that are, that are, what do you call it? Well, they're
coming up in the ranks.
Yeah, they're coming up in the ranks, and they've reaped the benefits from what we do. They're the ones that and all the ones that we deal with that are not just the ones we're working with now. All the ones that might be listening to this or might hear this. Because of you, we are where we are. So if there's ever a time you need to come back or just chat, then we're going to make ourselves
Always make ourselves available.
We're
always
for you.
available on Facebook, on Messenger, texts, phone call, drop in. We're always here. We always have been. And we're here for the new ones too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's all about relationship. Hey.
Yep.
And so long as you want that relationship with us, we're here.
Just keep battling. Don't give up.
Mm.
If you're in a tricky spot, don't let your emotions
Lie to you.
don't let your emotions get you to make decisions you shouldn't be making.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's going to take hard work to succeed in anything, and sometimes you're just going to have to battle it out. I understand the times are hard, but hang in there, work hard to get out of it, and start making some good decisions if you think that's what you need to start working your way out of it.
We're not the solution. We're only an assistance. So, yeah. That's all I got. How's that? Is that enough?
All right, so we're going to sign off.
Because I got training, very shortly.
So this is Richard Ogle saying ka kite, talofa lava, and
Talofa's hello,
fa haere, haere.
Oh, me? Yep. See ya. Catch you later. See you next time. If there ever is a next time. My husband might sack me after this one.
Peace out.